Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to the Managrind tournament recap. Yes, these used to be called the Hearthstone Weekly Shows. Now, the Hearthstone Weekly Show is what I'm going to be doing on Saturdays, but I'm keeping these around because people ask me to, essentially. Every week I'm going to be making an article, which will be going up on Hearthpwn, on the Managrind section of Hearthpwn. And every Saturday at 2 p.m. GMT, I'm going to be doing a topic. And I'm going to live stream it and then upload it to the actual channel. Now, the topic for this weekend will be Mage Aggro. I'm going to be making a Mage Aggro deck, going over decision making, what the deck does, why it's good, things like that. And you'll see why once we actually do the tournament recap. But anyway, so without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Top 4 from North America. First place, Nimsh. Second place, Mundungu. Awesome name. Third place, Shmoo. And fourth place, Quizponsu. So, first place, Nimsh, Mage Aggro. He played 2 decks. But Mage Aggro, or Moon's deck, as a lot of people call it in the competitive community, is a very aggressive deck that is designed to pour on the pressure early and then finish out the game with burn. What do I mean? Well, we have Sylvanas and Argent Commander, pretty standard, all the buff minions, Fairy Dragon, Harvest Golem, things like that, all the buff targets, all the buff minions. Even things like Argent Squire, which can be buffed up a lot and is very powerful in these buff decks. And then we have the spells, Pyroblast, Blizzard, Cone of Cold, Frostbolt, and Firebolt. All of these either stall your opponent's minions while you hit him or burn him down. That is why the deck is powerful. It's a very powerful deck. It's been played a lot in the past. On to his second deck. Now this is a deck which hasn't been seen since Cockatrice. It is a very old deck that's been resurrected, and it's nice to see this kind of thing come back. So, basically what it is it's a control deck of sorts that ends the game with big legendaries and giants. So if we look at the actual spells, most of them are designed just to stall out the game. We have Ice Barrier, Ice Block, Cone of Cold, Flame Strike, Frost Nova, Arcane Intellect to draw into your threats, and then we have Burn in Pyroblast and Fireball. But then the actual minions is what sets this deck apart from other control decks. Alexstrasza usually goes in mage combo decks. We have Doomsayer. Doomsayer actually works here because you go Doomsayer, Frost Nova, and they have to remove it, otherwise they lose the whole board. Molten Giant and Mountain Giant, it's called Frozen Giants for a reason. These things hit very hard, especially in a meta game with very little hard removal. And lastly, we have some cantrip minions just to help you draw into your threats. Second place, Mage Aggro. I just talked about this. Okay, anyway, so this version is running Azure Drake and Acolyte of Pain and a Flame Strike. Now, these are slightly significant differences, to be honest. Acolyte of Pain and Azure Drake, they draw cards but they slow down the deck. Same with Flame Strike. Well, Flame Strike just clears the board but slows down the deck. This is a slower variant than what actually won the tournament, but equally as powerful and is a much more reliable deck, especially against aggro decks. On to his other deck. Now, this was brought in just like Frozen Giants. They were both brought in against aggro matchups. And this is a Shields Up deck. Now, for those of you who remember, a couple of weeks ago, there was a Shields Up Priest deck, which was running Ancient Watcher with things like Defender of Argus and Sunfury Protector. This is a Mage variant. It's a Mage Aggro variant with the Shields Up core and more board wipe and burn. It's a more defensive version of Mage Aggro, but still just as powerful, especially in aggro mirrors when they really can't deal with that Ancient Watcher. On to third place, Mage Aggro. Noticing a pattern here. So, the differences in this one is we had Sorcerer's Apprentice, which can be used to ramp up spells, can be very potent, very, very good at churning out sort of Frost Bolts and Flame Strikes and things like that. And then we also had Leroy Jenkins, which is a third copy of Fireball, essentially, and King Mukla, which, unless you're against aggro, is just a 3-mana 5/5. Against aggro, he falls short a bit, but against everything else, he's a 3-mana 5/5 that is very difficult to stop. On to 4th place, for the love of... another Mage aggro deck. Okay, this one's also slightly different, though. Blood Mage Thalnos is something which shows up quite often actually in these kind of deck. Has spell power, cantrips, just an awesome thing in general. We also have 2 Flame Strikes, really pushing the board position along with the Arcane Missiles. We have 2 Azure Drakes, again slowing down the deck, giving more consistency, and a Mani Berserker, one of the most underestimated 2-drops in the game. Against AoE, it just gets enraged, and also you're a mage, so you can ping your own Mani, get over things like Sentient Shieldmaster. On to the top 4 decks from EU. We have 1st place, Timbolt. 2nd place, Luzak. If I butcher someone's name, please tell me. 3rd place, Lothar. And 4th place, XTZ. Or KZ. Whatever. Already seen this deck. It was the deck that came first in NA. Already seen this deck, because the deck also came first. Actually, one slight difference. Instead of running Alexstrasza, this ran Ragnaros. Now, the main reason for this was just he didn't have the Alexstrasza, but Ragnaros is a very good alternative if you have one and not the other. And that's my Swiss clock in the background. I picked a lousy time to record. Okay, anyway. 2nd place, Luzak playing Frozen Giants. Another one. This one is slightly more budget, doesn't have the Alexstrasza in it. But besides that, it's pretty much the same deck. Keep in mind, Frozen Giants is not a budget deck. Like, well, it has 6, 7 epics, 10 epics in it. Well, yeah, the complete version has 9 epics and a legendary. It's a very costly deck to put together, but very powerful as we can see. Anyway, the slightly more budget version. 3rd place, Mage aggro. Now you can see why my weekly topic this weekend is Mage aggro. Specifically, Mage Combo. Okay, I can talk about this one. Now, Mage Combo is a hybrid control deck which focuses around controlling the board long enough to get all your burn and then killing your opponent with things like Alexstrasza, Pyroblast, things like that with fireballs. This one's playing a couple of variations. It's playing some cantrip minions, playing Water Elemental because it's a nice threat that doesn't die. Azure Drake is a nice threat as well that gives you some spell power. And lastly, Archmage as a 2nd copy of Alexstrasza, effectively. If neither of them die, you win the game. Alexstrasza is better slightly than Archmage because its effect is instant. However, there's not much in it. Also, thing to note about this particular combo deck, 1 ice block, not 2. So, 8 mages. 8. I'll come back to that. Anyway, so during the week, we got a preview of the upcoming patch. We got some of the changes that they're aiming for and some of the stuff they're going to execute. Not all of them, but some of them we were spoiled. And for anyone who was tuning into my stream at the time, a lot of rage was had about this, but out of a viewer's request, I'm actually going to overview them slightly. Keep in mind, when the full patch comes out, me and Moon are going to be overviewing that. We're going to do our hour-long video that we do once every couple of months and talk about the patch, talk about anything good, bad, what affects the competitive scene, etc. But anyway, so the changes so far from what we've seen are the nerfs. Now, the reason they spoiled the nerfs is mainly because that's what people care about the most. Buffs are always nice, but nerfs are what affects the metagame the most of the time. Yeah. Anyway, so first one, Shattered Sun Cleric is now 3/2 from a 3/3. I entirely agree with this. Now, at first I looked at this and I thought it's not a big deal, but what it effectively does is make Shattered Sun Cleric die to both AoE, but most importantly, Harvest Golem. It's like, but that's not important. You'd be surprised. Harvest Golem is a very powerful 3-drop. It has one problem, which is it can't kill Cleric. It kills It just gets hit by cleric and then pinged by hero power most of the time. Now it kills the cleric and still has to be pinged by hero power. It's a very powerful 3-drop now, even stronger than it was. So, good change. Onto Argent Commander. The most controversial change in the entire patch. It's a 4-2 from a 4-3. We discussed this on the mana cast. Making it a 4-2 will do nothing. And that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have another 4 months of Argent Commander. Do I like it? No. Am I gonna have to deal with it? Yes, and you will too. If you don't like the 4-attack charger with Divine Shield for 6 mana, you're playing the wrong game. It's here to stay. It's gonna be just as powerful as it was. In my prediction, it's gonna drop from 16 copies every single week to what? 13? 12? Around there. Yeah, around there. So that one's super sketchy. I do still like the 7 mana as opposed to this. But anyway, on to another sketchy change. Flame Imp. Because Warlock aggro cares about 1 damage. Now, I guess the idea here is that they do 3 to you and you do 3 to them, kind of thing. The problem is that they're the one playing aggressively. What this does do, though, is nerf Warlock aggro against mage decks, which, as you can clearly see, is a problem right now. Keep in mind, Warlock aggro is still absurd, but after what happened this week, I don't think it's the worst culprit in the metagame. I'll put it that way. On to Mind Control. Now, we already knew about this. 10 mana, I don't think it's needed, but I understand why they're doing it. Mind Control is not a fun card. It will never be a fun card, and as far as I'm concerned, until they figure out what to do with it, putting it at 10 is fairly safe. People will still use it every so often, but you don't have to play around it every single time on turn 8, which is nice. You can play big stuff against Priest now. I'm okay with this. I like this change. It's not the best thing they could do, but it's a good thing to do as sort of a stalling tactic where they actually figure out what to do with the card. Now, Starving Buzzard, it's a 2-1. You think, well, Unleash the Hounds, but no, because Unleash the Hounds is being changed to for each enemy minion, summon a 1-1 with charge. Now, the Unleash the Hounds one I like. I actually kind of like this card. It's not that good, but it's combo-ish. Okay, it's not good, but it's one of those super fun combo cards that's never going to win a game, but it's a fun card. So I'm completely fine with them adding fun cards. Starving Buzzard, however, why did this need nerfing? Just a random comment. Hunters are the worst class in the game right now. Yeah. I'm not going to touch this one with a 10-foot pole until the patch comes out. I want to see what's in the rest of the patch. I'll look over that and I'll make my judgment there, but I still don't understand that. Didn't understand at BlizzCon, still don't. Okay, speaking of subjects that I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole, which in this case it's a 20-foot pole, is mages. Now, I'll go over this more in the weekly show over the weekend, but 8 mages. You can count them. 8 out of 8. Not even Druid accomplished that. We've never seen a class do that before. Not 8 out of 8. That's insane. It's absurd, not to mention half the decks were the same. The decks between NA and EU, the same 2 decks won the tournament and came second in EU and came third as well, and Mage Aggro was like 5 different copies. It's a problem. Mage and Warlock Aggro is absurd, don't get me wrong. Mage Aggro is worse, which I didn't think was possible. But this is some serious balance issues, and they have to fix it at some point. The metagame at this point is really boiling down to one class, and that's not healthy for the metagame at all. One class dominance is the one thing you avoid, and that's what's happening. So, as for now, this has been Jotto. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any Feedback, questions, put them in the comment section below. Weekly show will be streamed on my Twitch channel, which I'll put in the description, at 2 PM GMT on Saturday. So tune into that for Mage Aggro. And Blizzard, if you're listening, which would be nice, and thank you for watching my show, we need a patch. Come on, guys. Come on, you can do it. You can bring one out. It's about time. We need a patch. Also, new ranking system. Really looking forward to that. I really want to see a new ranking system. That's my most look forward to change in the entire patch, besides balance. So this patch is gonna be epic in my mind. At least the features they're adding. As far as balance goes, I hope they really do get it right. I mean, the preview was a bit sketchy, but I'm pretty sure they can get the rest of the stuff right. I hope so. But until that day, this is Jotto, signing off.